I am going to introduce to you Tiffany Markman, speaking to us tonight on Leopard Lingo. Tiffany works with words on the page, on the stage, in the room, and on Zoom. More specifically, she writes copy and content for businesses, speaks at business events, teaches writing to teams inside businesses, and consults on business comms, content strategy, messaging, and brand voice. Everybody, help me welcome tonight Pan-African speaker for the first Pan-African speaker for tonight, Tiffany Markman. Tiffany, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nomvula. And thank you for that quite dramatic introduction. I almost feel like you set me up for a really nice, you gave me a sort of a virtual drum roll, which feels really lovely. Thanks for having me. I'm about to switch over to my slides. So let's do that. And let's just make sure when I do that everybody can see my slides and me. Can I have a show of hands, a thumbs up, just to show me that you can see me and my slides clearly?
Looks
amazing.
Good.
Thank you. So welcome everyone to Leopard Lingo, how to tame the tech, aka how to talk to AI so that it talks like you. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can read your minds. You're thinking, nice, Tiffany, you just shoehorned your standard AI talk into a leopard theme. Fantastic, well done. And I did do that, but here's the thing. Prompting AI requires more from us than just shouting instructions into the void, okay? We need to speak the right language so that the spots line up. And when the spots line up, what happens is we get output that has clarity, context, and my all-time favorite constraints, which I will explain to you. And when you get that right, your outputs, like the leopard, become faster and more on target. So yes, I have shoehorned my standard AI talk into the theme, but the more I explored leopards and leopard print, the more I realized that the spots really do line up when you prompt AI properly, and that's what we're going to be looking at together today. Now, you may also be thinking, although you won't admit it, hey, Tiffany, AI is going to take your job. You're a writer, you're about to become obsolete. I get that a lot. Don't worry, I'm not offended. I really, really do get that one a lot. And I'm here to tell you that it isn't, not anytime soon. AI can and does make me quicker, more thoughtful, and more versatile as a human communicator. But more importantly, it can do the same for you, whether or not you are a professional writer, whether or not you identify like I do as a professional writer. So first, a very quick getting to know me moment. I am, as you know, Tiffany Markman. I'm a copywriter, trainer, and speaker. But here are a couple of things about me that you probably don't know. First is that I absolutely hate coriander. I think it is the demon herb. It tastes like spiders. Now, I've never eaten spiders, but I think that they taste like coriander. The second thing that you probably don't know about me, although Charlotte and Bruce definitely do know this, is that my favorite animal is the African micro bat. When I'm not speaking, writing, or teaching, I'm rehabilitating orphaned and injured bats as a hobby. Another thing you may or may not know about me is that I take my coffee black with no sugar, and I think that coffee deserves more from humanity than having milk and sugar added to it. It should be drunk black, the way it comes. I'm married to an actor. My mother calls him Tiffany's husband, the actor, all in caps. He's a soapy actor, which means that he is recognized by about half of our country's population and completely ignored by the other half. I am an only child, and I have an only child. I believe that all pencils should come pre-sharpened with an eraser on the end. I am always cold, and so I always have a jersey. And I believe that pineapple does belong on pizza. So now that you know me a little bit more, you either are willing to sit and listen to me for the next 20 minutes, or you don't like me because of the pineapple and pizza thing and you need to leave, in which case that's fine. I'll be done at 1940 South African time, and you can come back in then. My task today is to show you that AI can become an incredibly powerful assistant for you, provided that you learn to prompt it properly, like a pro. And when you can prompt AI like a pro, three things happen. You write better, you attract more people, whether those people are leads, suspects, prospects, community members, donors, funders, whatever it might be, and you engage them faster. So it becomes quicker, easier, and more seamless to create rapport with them. Now, there are loads of platforms out there. In fact, when I joined the call this evening, I could hear Bruce and Charlotte chatting about a couple of platforms as well. So there are new platforms emerging all of the time, and you will hear and see all sorts of things on LinkedIn about this is the must-use platform. You should be using this. You should be using that. There are new ones every day. Please don't panic. My advice is to pick one or two based on your specific needs and marry yourself to those so that you get really comfortable with them. My platform of choice at the moment is ChatGPT for certain things, Claude and Perplexity for certain other things, and I don't delve very much into the others for now. But whether you are using ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, DeepSeek, Meta AI, Perplexity, DALL-E, Canva, whatever it might be, for the most part, the promptology rules, the rules of prompting, are similar. Let's just chat quickly about ChatGPT. According to Demand Sage, 1 billion people are currently using ChatGPT each week. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I'll tell you what I do know. I do know that 90% of people using generative AI platforms are not using it properly. And the way to use it properly is to leverage 3 elements, my elements, which are obviously vastly superior to anything else out there. That's a joke. The first element is what I call the switch. It is a metaphorical switch, right? It's about switching from the idea that the platform is some kind of supreme leader to the reality of garbage in, garbage out. I'm going to say that again. Garbage in, garbage out, but value in, value out. Now, AI platforms can only help you to produce output that is almost as good as human output if you accept 3 things. The first is that AI platforms don't think like humans. They don't think at all. They predict text based on input patterns. It's prediction. Number 2, the quality of your prompt directly affects the quality of the output. And number 3, and most excitingly for me, small tweaks dramatically improve the quality of the result you get. So let's start with small tweaks to your inputs, the prompt or the piece that you put into the platform in order to get some output. And I'm going to do a little demo for you quickly just to show you what that looks like. Now, I know that the number 1 sin of presenting is reading my slides to the audience, but in this case, we are talking about inputs and outputs. So I am going to read my inputs and outputs to you to make your experience a little bit better. So please bear with me while I do that. Now, I asked ChatGPT to write my mother a birthday card. She recently turned 75. I did ask her permission to tell you this, and you'll see why that's relevant shortly. But I asked ChatGPT to help me write my mother a birthday card. That was the only instruction that I gave. And this was the output. Dear Mum, wishing you a very happy birthday filled with love, laughter, and joy. May the year ahead bring you happiness, good health, and new adventures. It's not great. I don't call her Mum, I call her Mom. And that output is very hallmark, very generic, very, as my 14-year-old would say, very mid. Meh. So I said to ChatGPT, I need more. And I got this. Dear Mum, on this remarkable day, let's transcend the candles and cake. I want to celebrate not just your birth, but the unparalleled legacy you've crafted each day since. That is awful. That's not how I speak. It's not how I write. It's pretentious, dreadful. So I said, yikes, too much. I call her Mom. She's funny. Add leopard print. And ChatGPT gave me the following. Dear Mom, happy birthday to the woman who adds a burst of laughter to everyone's day. Here's to a year filled with laughs, adventures, and all the larger-than-life moments you so richly deserve, all, of course, in leopard print. Now, those of you who know my mom will know that she is almost always wearing leopard print. Those of you who don't know her, trust me. I said to ChatGPT, that's better, but can you include her name, which is Tamara, and can you include words beginning with T? And I got this. Dear Mom, today we toast to you, Tamara, a treasure teeming with wit and warmth. Life without your towering personality would be utterly tame. May torrents of laughter, tidal waves of success, and just the right splash of leopard print fill your year. Much more like it. Now I'm going to show you how much more like it that was. This is the reminder that we sent to her guests just before her 75th birthday to remind them where to be and what time. If you go back, you can see how perfect that was, given that this was the reminder we sent via WhatsApp, the actual reminder. But I still wanted to see what ChatGPT could do, so I said, make it rhyme, and it did. Dear Tamara, today's the day we raise a toast to the mom we love the most. Your big personality is off the chart, just like your massive loving heart. Happy birthday. Really, really cool. And then I fiddled with it using my human brain and came up with this version here, which has a line about life with you is far from plain. It's like a scintillating runaway train, which is very true. Here she is on her birthday in her leopard print dressing gown. And please note that there is a leopard print shawl behind her and leopard print glasses and vases on the shelf above her head. So you can understand that I'm not pretending this is the actual woman. But did you notice the switch? In this case, it was a literal switch, not a metaphorical one, because I first used my human brain to create the prompt. Then I used AI for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth iteration. And then I went back to my human brain again and fiddled with it so that it would be more me and more her and more resonant and more interesting and a little bit more human and authentic. Now, there are 4 critical hygiene factors for prompting a generative AI platform. 3 of them are kind of obvious, 1 less so. So let's talk about the obvious ones first. Straightforward language. I'm really hoping that you know this. Don't get clever. Don't use puns. Don't test the platform. Just tell it what you want. Specify the target audience. So always tell it who you're writing or speaking to. Define the task for it. So tell it whether you are writing an email, a proposal, a pitch deck, a speech, a business plan, a birthday card. And this last one is the most important one. Apply constraints and limitations. Tell it what you don't want. Tell it the length restriction. Tell it the tonal no-nos. Flag compliance risks ahead of time. Tell it that you don't want hard sell or you do want hard sell, but apply constraints to the prompt. And this will improve the quality of the output you get significantly. Now, in a nutshell, what the platform is wanting from you, it's wanting to know what role should it fill. So tell it to act as a marketer or a speechwriter or a business planner or an insurance salesman or whatever. It wants to know what action you want it to complete, and it needs context. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in the real world, not in a birthday card. The green is what you would type into the platform. Acting as a B2B, business-to-business marketer, specializing in software as a service solutions for mid-sized marketing agencies. Draft a personalized 100-word email that introduces our new marketing automation platform, which is called XYZ. Sound human, cut fluff, include a clear hook, and finish with a gentle call to action. So there is what we want and the constraints. And then finally, what's the context? The prospect is a marketing manager at a 20-person agency under pressure to deliver results fast with a small team and too many tasks. So there you've given role, action, constraints, context, and you can do it with the headings or without. But basically what you're doing here is you're hitting each of the 4 things that I've told you are hygiene factors. And that is the switch. It's switching the idea in your mind that the platform knows what you want and being prepared to work with it. Now we'll talk about iteration as step 3. But first to step 2, over-explaining. I want you to take your spoon, your metaphorical spoon, there are lots of metaphors in this talk, and put it in the mouth of the platform. So you are spoon feeding the platform, because are hygiene factors enough? No. They're going to give you beige mush, which is better than what a non-writer can produce, but nowhere near as good as what a professional writer can create. It will be lacking emotion. It will be lacking empathy. The nuance will be entirely missing. There will be no detail. There will be no vividness. There will be no subtlety. And these are the aspects of writing that make it uniquely human. So what do? We use what I call the mega prompt, which is a big prompt. It looks like this. I've given you the elements on the left, and then I've given you a sample prompt on the right. I'm going to talk you through it now. And at the end, if you like, you can take a screenshot or photo of this slide, or you can ask me for the slides, which I can make available with pleasure. Acting as a consumer-facing marketer, with experience in lifestyle and wellness products. Write a 200-word follow-up email to a potential customer who visited our online store and added items to her cart but didn't complete the purchase. Include a warm subject line, a gentle reminder, a brief recap of the product benefits, and a low-pressure call to action. Keep paragraphs short. The audience is a woman in her 40s, interested in self-care and conscious shopping. She values authenticity and hates being rushed or pushed. The tone should be friendly, relaxed, and respectful. No gimmicks, urgency tactics, or over-promising. No jargon. And finally, mention our free shipping offer and hassle-free returns. So you can see there that I've mega prompted. I've gone way beyond the 4 hygiene factors. And I've given simulate persona, which is also role, task, content, context, structure, audience needs, tone, constraints, and nuance. So you are welcome to take a screenshot or photo of that slide if you would like. But perhaps the best way to explain over-explaining is by showing you how to use AI to prompt images. Over-explaining is crucial for image generation because AI lacks the ability to infer context, to make assumptions, and to fill gaps. It is bad at these 3 things. So what happens without context? I will show you. If you ask a generative AI platform to give you a photo of a beautiful bat, and if you are wanting this, unless you specify that what you are wanting is a beautiful fluffy mammal with wings, it is going to give you this. Now, I believe from those in the know that that is a beautiful bat, but I really don't know the difference between that and a golf club. So again, if you want a beautiful fluffy bat, you have to say so. Otherwise, you're going to get this thing that I think you used to hit a ball. What happens to style and composition if you are not precise? Well, if you ask for a man standing on a mountain, you're going to get this kind of ancient explorer with his stick standing on a mountain. But if what you really want is a pop art representation of a modern hiker in shorts standing with his back to you facing the sunrise, then you're going to have to ask for that specifically. And if you are ambiguous, what will happen is that AI will generate what it thinks you mean. So if you ask for eggplant, you will get an eggplant. And if you ask for a picture of Van Gogh as he looks now in 2025, which is what I wanted to see what that red-headed man would look like missing an ear if he were in his hundreds, it gave me this. So you can see from these examples that over-explaining really helps the platform to see like a human. So I want to show you what happened with my mother's birthday invitation. I asked ChatGPT to give me a leopard wearing a crown, and very cute, it gave me this. But my mother is a bit of a princess, and there's no way I could give her a birthday card with that guy on it. So I said, please try again, not a cartoon. And it gave me this lovely impressionist leopard wearing a crown, but it looked quite serious, and it was a little bit stern. So I said, how about something a little more joyful? And it gave me a crown of thorns. Which was cute. I liked it, but you'll remember that ultimately we landed up with this. So there was quite a bit of work and iteration to do with the platform in order to eventually get something that I felt was appropriate. Now, I've given this talk twice. This is the 3rd time in the last 24 hours. And at 1 o'clock today, somebody said to me, how can it possibly be worth asking so many times? Why don't you just do it yourself? Well, the answer is I can't design a leopard wearing a crown myself. I do not have those skills. So even if it takes me 7 tries to get it right using AI, that's still quicker than I would be. And the corollary of that is true as well. If you are not a confident writer or you're not a writer at all, it actually is going to be quicker to ask a platform to try something 5 times than to do it yourself. And just a quick recap, we've looked at the switch and we've looked at over-explaining. The final step is iteration, which is really just nudging or nagging the platform to give you what you need. And this is where we look at what I call the meta prompt, where you prompt the prompt. So let me say that again. The meta prompt is like Inception. You tell the prompt what you think it needs to help you to help it. I know that sounds kind of weird. Let me show you an example. You ask the platform, how can I make my prompt clearer? You ask the platform, what info is missing for you to help me better? You ask the platform to suggest 3 ways to rephrase your prompt. Now, these are what I call reflective prompts, and they're valuable because they create prompt literacy. They make you better, but they also allow you and the platform to work together to generate better output. And in this regard, the platform becomes more of a collaborator and co-thinker than it does just a writer. So here are some more examples. You might ask, as part of your meta prompt, you might ask the platform to critique your first draft, to check for tone, which elements of the document are cold and which are warm. You might ask it to highlight emotional landmines. So is there any potential here for conflict, for misinterpretation? Have I tried to sound firm but actually come across sounding aggressive? You might also ask it to flag any potential compliance risks. So here again, you're using the platform as a collaborator, as a thinking partner, not just as a writer. And then another element of iteration is that you might try something called prompt chaining, which is where you use sequential prompts. So here's an example. You say to the platform, summarize this complaint, and you give it the complaint into key points, and you wait for it to do that. Then you say, now, draft a professional, neutral response using those key points and mark any red flags for me. Then, once it's done that, you say, now add warmth and accountability to the response without changing any of the facts. So here you are working in a sequential way to build your desired output alongside the platform. Now you can see that one of the things that happens when you iterate is that you have to repeatedly ask the platform to try again, and to try again, and to try again. And the lovely thing about AI is that unlike a human writer, it never gets cross, it never gets irritated, it never gets frustrated. I am a human writer, and I can tell you that when we get to version 7 or version 8, I'm starting to lose my sense of humor. But that never happens with the platform. It will just keep going. It will never lose the original measure of enthusiasm that it had at the start. It will respond with certainly and be very gung-ho no matter how many times you ask it. So that is a lovely thing about bots as opposed to humans. Bots never really get cross. Well, not yet. They haven't achieved sentience yet. But for now, I think we're doing quite well. So where to now? Well, if you're going to use AI, you should follow my steps, which are switch, make the switch in your mind between the platform being a supreme leader and realizing garbage in, garbage out. Over-explain, in other words, spoon-feed the platform. Tell it so much more than you think it needs to know. And then finally, be willing to iterate. Be willing to go to version 5, version 6, version 7, until eventually you get something that is what you want. The other thing to bear in mind is that you should really only trust AI with the heavy lifting. So another question that I had this afternoon was, at what point will it be so clever that we no longer need to repeatedly iterate? And I said, well, it's going to get better at some things, but not at others. So you may be able to spend less time on hygiene factors, but you'll have to spend more time building in nuance, or less time on providing context and more time inserting really hyper-localized metaphor. So another example that I gave this afternoon was, I'll often put really South African metaphors into my prompts in order for the text not to come out sounding super American or global North-centric. ChatGPT loves orchestral metaphor and maritime metaphor. So I throw in a lot of South Africanisms just to make it really resonate. But back to what I do for a living. AI is not taking my job anytime soon, unless there is a way to make it flawed and vulnerable and authentic in a human way, because that is the stuff that makes human writing interesting. Having said that, if AI does take my job, I'll keep teaching humans like you how to talk so that the robots actually listen, so that the output that we get from the platform sounds real, and so that AI ultimately bends to your will. So I'm hoping that I can replace myself as a writer with myself as a trainer and speaker when the bots come for my job. But if in doubt, I have one final message for you, and that is the following. Just think leopard print. Confident, consistent, and never beige. Thank you.